fresh ideas?
Yeah, what we should have done in the first place.
Shit!
Come on, you mindless motherfuckers!
John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars was released in the August of 2001 to both critical and commercial flop. The production and its reception was so bad that it made John Carpenter quit the movie business for years and years, only returning once more with a low-budget feature, The Ward. It should be noted that it did do 2 well-received episodes of the Masters of Horror series in the meanwhile though, so it's not like it went completely into hiding or anything. Many people believe that Ghost of Mars is Carpenter's worst movie, and I have to admit that I didn't care much for it when I saw it back when it was released 15 years ago. Wow, I'm getting old. Most of Carpenter's movies we love today, except Halloween, was poorly received upon release, so I figured it would be a good idea to revisit Ghost of Mars so many years later to see if this might be one of those. While his 70s and 80s output has been more respected over the years, the work he did in the 90s still seemed to wait for the same appreciation. In the Out of Madness and Escape from LA to a certain degree might be the odd ones out, but stuff like Memoirs of an Invisible Man, Body Bags, Village of the Damned, and my personal favorite, Vampires, are still yearning for more love. And seriously people, Vampires is awesome, give it a second chance. The project of Ghost of Mars originally started as a Snake Plissken movie called Escape from Mars. And if you don't know who that is, then turn this video off right away and go watch Escape from New York. The fan-beloved Kurt Russell's character would not become the part of this movie though, as the second Escape movie, Escape from Los Angeles, did not do well at the box office, making back only $25 million during its theatrical run on a $50 million production budget. Going forward with the production without the iconic character, the title turned into Ghosts of Mars, and at one point Jason Statham was supposed to be the new protagonist called Desolation Williams. The studio didn't believe that Statham had the necessary star power to draw in audiences at the time, so they downgraded him into a supporting role and got Ice Cube to fill in the part instead. The film was shot at nighttime in New Mexico, and they had to dye the white gypsum into red to give the settings a believable Mars look. The plot takes place on planet Mars, and it is set in the future year of 2176. The story starts out with a train arriving at its destination with only one passenger remaining in it. This passenger was the young and tough police lieutenant Melanie Ballard, played by Natasha Henstridge. She is taken to her superiors, where she starts to tell a story about how she and her police unit was on a mission to transport the criminal Desolation Williams to his trial. When they arrived at a small village where he was kept, they find the place in dead silence. When they do come across human beings, they are immediately attacked by them, as they seem to be possessed by some entities that are crept out from the depths of Mars. By revisiting Ghost of Mars, it is easy to see why the movie got such a bad reputation upon its initial release, as it is a film with plenty of problems, and it is hard to ignore the thoughts of how much cooler this film would have been if it in fact had been a story with Snake Plissken in it. Although I have no problems with Ice Cube, he just doesn't have the action star qualities it takes to carry such a role. And the wardrobe department didn't help him either, as his costume makes him look a bit out of shape and a bit flabby. He does have an interesting and fun chemistry with Natasha Henstridge, who is the real star of the film. She came onto the production very late, as Courtney Love was originally supposed to play the character of Melanie. Courtney had to leave the production a few weeks before shooting was about to start, supposedly due to her boyfriend's ex-wife running over her foot with a car or something like that. Not the most believable story, to be honest. Henstridge seems to be a good and better choice for the part anyway, but her character is a bit too dull and cold. Underdeveloped is something you can say about all the characters. But honestly, if you just look at it as a campy, fun sci-fi action movie where you don't care about the characters, then you can look past it. I do wish that I kept Pam Grier's character around a bit longer though, and would not mind it if they had gotten rid of Clea Duvall's character instead, as she added little to the fun of the film. The story is told in flashbacks, and I have absolutely no idea why they thought this would be a good idea, as it basically tells us the ending right away. Not only that, but they also have flashbacks within the main flashback. They also used a simple scene transition effect where the scenes will overlap each other for a second, way too much in the film. It's an easy effect that can be done with any video editing software today, and it's just so weird to see it being used in a big studio production. The story is also too fragmented and thin to engage the viewers. The main premise of having the souls or whatever from the ancient Mars warriors come out from underneath the earth of the planet and then taking control over human bodies is quite cool actually, but the execution leaves a lot to be desired. The final product reeks of a production where things were changed upon time and time again, most likely with plenty of arguments between everyone involved, resulting in a very messy storytelling. The best example of this is when it looks like the good guys have gotten away from the damned village, only to decide a few minutes later that they must go back to blow up the entire place. It was almost like they suddenly found out that they had 30 more minutes of running time that they needed to fill out with something. So instead of giving us more backstories to the characters or sell the world of Mars on us, they go for the easiest solution of adding more fights and explosions. And when they have already figured out that the entities possessing the human beings are released when the body is damaged, only to then possess another human, they should probably have come up with a better idea than to just shoot and blow them up. So, even if I've been critical of the film so far, I will now say that even with all of these flaws, the film is still fun. It is a fun action flick for those of us who can ignore the finer points of movie making and just enjoy the hell of stuff blowing up. And the fact that it is fun and entertaining movie makes me disagree with those who will say that this is John Carpenter's lowest point, as I would rather put on Ghost of Mars anytime than to watch Memoirs of an Invisible Man or his remake of Village of the Damned. The soundtrack to the movie is also interesting in that it has a lot of interesting artists on it with contributions by artists such as Steve Vai, Robin Fink, Anthrax, Buckethead, and of course John Carpenter himself. There are some interesting tracks on it, so it's not a bad idea to check it out, regardless of what you may think of the movie itself. So, Ghost of Mars was released in cinemas on August 24, 2001, only a few weeks before the terrible events of 9/11 would occur. It only made back about $40 million from its $28 million production budget and was quickly labeled a failure. It made John Carpenter feel burned out to making movies, and Ice Cube said back in 2006 that this was the worst movie he had ever done. And Ice Cube will just have to disagree about that one. In a perfect world, Ghost of Mars would end up like a great mixture between Assault on Precinct 13 and The Thing, with Snake Plissken as the main character. But I guess that was just not meant to be. What we did get is a movie with more entertainment to it than what is remembered about it. This revisit made me realize that Ghost of Mars is not a bad film. Any movie that keeps me entertained throughout 90 minutes can't just be labeled bad. While I do recognize that the film has plenty of flaws, it is still a fun time, preferably with a few beers to keep you company. So I'm gonna give Ghost of Mars a 3 out of 5. So what do the people of YouTube think about Ghost of Mars after all these years? Anyone else that revisited it and now enjoy it more than I did back in 2001? And what is John Carpenter's worst movie of all time? Let me know in the comment section below, check out my other videos if this is content that you enjoy watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Let's just kick some ass.
It's what we do best.